All right, we're back. You know what I'm saying? We might try to revive this channel. Might fuck around. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's some good water. What we got today? What are we watching? Let's see. Welcome to the NBA. Jimmy High Roller. 2.6 million subscribers. Come on now. These videos are always fire. Let's watch it. Wait, what did it say? I hope someone got them monks a TV and they're watching this shit. What I mean? What I mean? My roommate Ben, 29 male, has been unemployed for the past 3 months and refused to get a new job. What should I do? Eliminated from playoff contention. What are we watching? Hey, this I saw this on Instagram or something, Twitter. I don't even know where. It's just hella funny. Look at you got Tracy McGrady, Carmelo, and I don't even want to ruin his name because I can't recognize him or I don't remember. They're all looking at Chet's ring. That's so funny.
He looks like Katie and Shaq mixed together, my dog. Oh, that's how I know you ain't watching the game. You're not watching the games, Pete. That's how I know you ain't watching the game.
Hey, if this is about Wemby though, Wemby, I'm telling you this right now, and you can go back on my videos last year, because I'm trying to revive this channel. You can go back on my videos. I said Wemby was going to be the greatest basketball player of all time if injuries don't stop him. And I said this as a rookie. I said this at his sophomore year, and I'm saying it now. It's just facts. If this is about Wemby.
My brothers, it's a new NBA season, and you know what that means. New faces, new contenders, and a new batch of some of the most appalling takes you've ever seen in your life. And today, we're going to take a look at some of these takes. The good, the bad, and the downright atrocious.
I got that good shit, you know what I'm saying?
Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. With the NBA season here, check out SeatGeek to handle all of your ticketing needs. The #1 rated ticketing app with over 28 million downloads. On SeatGeek, there are more than 70
Nope.
exclusive
Not watching that. Sorry. Skip.
But a sacrifice for the hottest takes I could find. An endeavor that took me to by rummaging through NBA social media for the hottest takes I could find. An endeavor that took me to some dark places, but a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I found some good ones, and I found some other ones. And among these hot
Referees should get ratings on how bad they officiated, similar to football. Soccer. Hottest hot take is just being people straight up stupid and wrong. Here's a hot take. Paul George is the GOAT.
takes, here are some of the
Weak.
more interesting ones
Weak.
I came across. Starting with this fan who says Victor Wembanyama will not only win Defensive Player of the Year this season, he will win it for the next 7 seasons in a row. And as crazy as this sounds, I feel like it's not even out of the realm of possibility.
Which is facts. If Rudy Gobert is winning back-to-back Defensive Players of the Year, you cannot tell me Wemby cannot do the same.
At the moment, Victor's preseason odds for Defensive Player of the Year are minus 175. The kid is favored over the rest of the NBA. And looking at his progression and his numbers from last season, it's clear why he's the heavy favorite. Here are the players with the highest stocks per game over the last decade. That's of course steals and blocks combined. And for even the biggest stat stuffers, averaging 3 stocks a game is a number that will earn you a DPOY, if not at the least, get you in contention. The players who achieve this mark are usually defensively versatile big men, and the largest total over the last decade belonging to Hassan Whiteside in 2016.
That's crazy, bro. Only 2 people have gotten over 4 blocks. Wemby's about to get
With
that in his
4.2
3rd year.
stocks per game. Until Wemby blew that and every other total out of the water with 4.8 stocks per game.
Wow. He got it last year already.
Those were his stocks as a rookie.
Damn.
From last season. But stocks, although enough
Damn. Bro, Wemby's going to be getting 6 blocks a game, bro. Shooting like Curry. Dribbling like Kyrie. With the size of Yao Ming. Oh my God, bro. I'm trying to tell you, he's going to be the greatest basketball player of all time if injuries don't stop him.
Of a player's defensive impact. What are good measures, however, are metrics like crafted defensive plus minus and on-off splits.
Look at that block.
How big of an impact are you making on defense, and how does your team perform when you're on the court versus off the court? And here is every player in the league last season who logged at least 1,000 minutes charted according to those two metrics. This group here in the top right corner are the players that thrived in both of those defensive metrics. Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert, Alex Caruso, and of course, Victor Wembanyama, the best defensive player in the league in just his second season. But in the future, Wemby will be competing against his peers, the players his age. After all, the kid is only 21 years old. So if we limit
He's only 21. Wemby's only 21. Damn.
Limit this chart to players no older than 25, well, yeah. Of course, winning the award once and winning it 7 times in a row are two completely different things. Even if a player deserves an award, voters' fatigue may end up being his biggest obstacle. However, Wemby's gap on the field may just be big enough to overcome this. In a recent survey, GMs across the NBA were asked who they felt was the best defensive player in the league, and to no one's surprise, it was Victor Wembanyama, winning 80% of the votes. Now, what is surprising is that in the 23 years that this survey has been conducted, no player before Wemby has ever been regarded as the best defender in the league with such an overwhelming majority.
Let's look at this real quick. Dwight Howard, 4 in a row, 5 in a row. Kawhi Leonard, as a small forward, 5 in a row. It's pretty badass if you ask me. Giannis, 4 in a row. Damn. Wemby's about to get that shit like 7 times in a row. That's crazy.
The highest Giannis ever got was 48% of the votes. The highest Ben Wallace ever got was 38%. KG, 44%. Kawhi, 67%. Dwight Howard, arguably the greatest defender of the 21st century, managed to get 78% of the votes after winning his 3rd straight DPOY. And then there's Victor, entering just his 3rd season in the league. So if winning the award is just as much about convincing fans and voters of your merits as it is about the actual impact you have on the game, then you might as well ship the award to Wemby's house right now. But the one thing that could prevent him from sweeping this award for the foreseeable future is the very reason why he didn't win it last season. The kid was dealing with an injury, he missed too many games, and he was ineligible for the award, which is a very real possibility as to why he may not end up winning it in future seasons.
And which is why I said he'll be the greatest player of all time if injuries don't stop him. Like, it's inedible. It's inedible. You know what I'm saying? It's just there. You know what I'm saying?
As long as he's got 2 good knees and an 8-foot wingspan, it's hard to imagine anyone else earning the award over him for quite a while. So, as crazy as this claim looks, this is a good take. Now, this next take comes from Bill Simmons in a recent podcast he did with Zach Lowe discussing the future of Nikola Jokic's legacy if things fall in his favor this season.
Is there a star player with a bigger legacy shift brewing on a pot on the stove than Jokic this year? Because if they win the title and he wins MVP again, I think he's indisputably one of the best 10 players ever. I think that has to be the outcome.
Which is true. But I don't think he wins MVP this year. And I don't think the Nuggets are making that far in the playoffs. I ain't gonna lie. But that's just me. Who else is gonna be better? I don't know, man. Jokic, you can't really stop a fucking 20, 10, and 10 a game. 30, 10, and 10 a game. You can't really stop that. 30, 15, and 10 a game. That's kind of crazy. You can't really stop that. So he might win MVP. I mean, damn, it's kind of a hot take. I think Luka's gonna win it. I really do. I really think Luka's going to win MVP. Look how he's playing already. I mean, he's basically going to have the same stats as the Jokic, but a worse team. You know what I'm saying? But
I just
who knows?
don't see how he's not on a top 10 list after that. He has to be.
But if he gets the second one, the names he's next to immediately, not next to like, well, 3 more years, is next to immediately are like the holy pantheon of NBA players.
He has to be with Bird and Magic at that point.
Yeah.
He's next to them.
Yeah.
Now, there's a really big...
Which is true. Jokic is up there with the biggest names of biggest names. You know what I'm saying? Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, name it. You know what I'm saying? That's where Jokic lies. I'm not going to lie. He's that good of a player.
If going on here. If
But I don't
Jokic
think he
can
wins
win
MVP
another
this year.
title this season, which in that case
Nor
will
I don't think he's winning
undoubtedly
another
be paired
title
with
this
the Finals
season. I don't think so.
And another regular season MVP to go along with it, would that make him not just top 10 all time, but even creeping near top 5 territory, right up there with Bird and Magic?
Nah. I'll give Jokic top 10. I won't give him top 5. Too many greats. Better than him. It's hard to say, man. He's averaging 25, 15, and 10. That's like unheard of, man. Like, the game just keeps evolving. There's always going to be someone better than the rest. But to say he's 5th all time, that's crazy, man. I don't know.
And to me, this is a no-brainer. But to my surprise, this was a scorching take for some fans. Many fans would still have him outside of the top 10, somewhere between 12 and 18.
See? That's what I'm saying. Me too. Me personally, me too.
Which is absolutely absurd. It's tough to make a top 10 list that's agreed upon, but there is a consensus top 12 that pretty much every fan agrees on. And it's these 12 players in no particular order. And when you compare Jokic's numbers and accomplishments with these guys, assuming he pulls off the season Simmons described, Jokic clearly belongs in this group and even ahead of a handful of them.
Which is true. I mean, look at Russell, Shaq, LeBron, Kobe, Kareem, Magic, Bird, Wilt. I don't know, man. This is tough. Curry's in there. I like that. Curry deserves to be in there, bro. If Curry wins his 5th ring, wow, that's going to be so crazy, man. Curry's my favorite player right now. Kobe Bryant all the time. Curry right now. Jokic, man. Who's he taking off that list? Hakeem Olajuwon? Wilt? Nah. Wilt was scoring 100-point games, bro. Supposedly. Taking Shaq out of the equation? Nah. Taking Bill Russell? Maybe. Taking Kobe out of the picture? A lot of people don't even have Kobe in their top 10. I have him in my top 5. I don't give a fuck.
There's only 3 players in NBA history who have more than 4 MVPs. Only 5 players in NBA history who have more than 2 Finals MVPs. And in terms of statistical impact, Jokic's numbers are just flat out better than anyone's. He's now the all-time leader in virtually every advanced metric and increasing his lead on the field with each season. The only thing holding him back from crashing the party at this point is championships. But that is a huge if. Winning a title is the toughest thing to do in the sport. Winning an MVP in the same season, even rarer. But a historic season like this may be in the cards for Jokic in 2026. After a busy offseason, the Nuggets have now surrounded Jokic with arguably the best roster he's had in his career. They've added depth at the center spot with Valanciunas, they've bolstered their shooting with Tim Hardaway Jr., and they've upgraded their starting lineup with the addition of Cam Johnson. Moves that have made them one of the favorites to win the title this season, with better odds than they've had in any season since their title run in 2023.
See, I didn't know all that, but I still don't think they're making a deep playoff run. I really don't think it. I'm trying to think, man. They definitely will beat my Lakers, though. I ain't gonna cap.
And in terms of an MVP, there is
But
no player
we would
more
put up a fight
perpetual
way
and
better than last year.
inevitable than Jokic. The guy always plays, his numbers are insane, and they haven't budged in a half a decade. His team looks to be better, so they're set up nicely to grab a top seed. And after averaging a 30-point triple-double last season and still coming up short in the MVP race, I wouldn't be surprised if the MVP narrative is in his favor this season, similar to what happened in 2024 after losing to Embiid in the previous season. In pretty much any other scenario, it would be comical to hint at a player having a historic season like this. But this is prime Nikola Jokic we're talking about, coming off the best individual season of his career with possibly the best roster of his career. And if he could pull it off, I agree with Bill. He would undeniably be a top 10 player of all time with the likes of Bird and Magic.
Honestly, man, I gotta rethink what I'm saying, because honestly, Jokic is him, bro. I be forgetting, dog. I be forgetting because he looks like a lazy horse out there. I ain't gonna lie. But he's putting up 25, 15, and 10. It's pretty badass if you really think about it.
Now, this next take
Fucking
comes
man,
from a
Jokic
fan
might
who
win
says
MVP,
the
dog.
WEMBY will go down as the biggest what if in NBA history. And although I don't agree with this take, it is nice to see some Embiid appreciation every once in a while. Joel Embiid has been dragged down by injuries about as much as any superstar of the 21st century, even to the extent where the word retirement was being thrown around 18 months after he won an MVP. And after recent physical evaluations, it appears that we will unfortunately never see MVP caliber Embiid again. Now, I understand why a lot of people couldn't care less about the man's game. His headache-inducing play style, the annual playoff regression, the fact that he's intentionally ducked Jokic on numerous occasions. There's always something going on with Embiid. But I could recognize these faults and still see that the guy is one of the most dominant forces of his generation. This is a player who averaged 32 and 11 a night for a 4-season stretch, averaged more points than minutes for an entire season. The only player to do this since Wilt Chamberlain. Less than 2 years ago, Embiid had a 23-game stretch where he averaged 40 points a game on 69% true shooting. 40 a game. A stretch that included a 40-piece on Jokic, a 50-piece on Gobert, and a 70-point, 18-rebound bomb on Wemby. When the man is healthy, he is legitimately unguardable.
I reacted to most of those games, especially his 70-point game. Embiid's really like that. But again, injuries is just one of those things that, it's sad to say, brings down your legacy. And that is happening to Embiid. Honestly, though, he's one of the most skilled scorers I've ever seen. Especially, bro, this guy's a center doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard, bro. Like, think about it. Like, it's like me playing against my little nephew. You know what I'm saying? It's like little boys. He's so tall, he just shoots right over him. You know what I'm saying?
Also
He's one of the best scorers of all time.
Has the capacity to anchor a defense, but is willing to do it. Two-way impact, statistically on par with Jokic for consecutive seasons. Somewhere buried under all that foul baiting, showboating, and grifting is a player who could dominate the game without doing any of that. But with that being said, I don't think Embiid can be the biggest what-if of all time for all of those reasons. We have already seen him at the peak of his powers for multiple seasons. Insane individual numbers that never culminated into any tangible success in the postseason. Whereas other big what-ifs like Derrick Rose and Bill Walton were league MVPs with playoff success, but sustained career-altering injuries before they even hit their peak. They were proven formulas who got hurt the moment they were impacting the league. There's also the what-ifs in the form of players who had all the potential in the world, but got hurt before they could even tap into it. Greg Oden, Penny Hardaway, Brandon Roy, Grant Hill, reduced to a fraction of their abilities so early in their careers, all we were left wondering is what if they hadn't gotten hurt? Having a near career-ending injury just 33 games after hoisting an MVP trophy will certainly get your name thrown into some what-if conversations. But sustaining that injury at 30 is a lot different than sustaining it at 23. For the better part of a decade, we saw the extent to which Embiid could dominate games, so there really isn't much what-if left in the tank. If anything, I would put him in the "it's a shame this guy couldn't stay healthy" category, with players like Tracy McGrady, Kawhi Leonard, Yao Ming, Amari Stoudemire, all-time talents who met their potential but couldn't put it together for more than a season or two at a time without their bodies failing.
Yeah, that's a better take.
Joel Embiid is prolifically underappreciated as a player, but
facts.
I don't think
that
he's
is facts.
nearly the biggest what-if in NBA history. Now, our last take comes from a fan who says the NBA is too talented, stating that the globalization of the game, the increased talent pool, and the new second apron have made teams impatient and left a lot of NBA caliber players out of a job. And although I understand the sentiment, and the NBA is certainly the most talented it's ever been, I don't think the NBA is too talented. The reason why we're now seeing so many talented, capable players miss out on roster spots is because not only has the floor for NBA talent increased drastically over the last decade, but because teams have also gotten drastically smarter over the last decade. Talent alone, for the most part, is no longer enough to keep a spot in the league. Organizations are now prioritizing things like fit and a player's role and how they can contribute and blend into a system over sheer talent and skill set. And regardless of how talented you are, unless you're a superstar, if you aren't a good fit, you won't have a place in the league. This has led to a lot of ultra-talented players completely sitting out of lineups or getting relegated to the G League or overseas, and fans asking, how is that guy not in the league? And the answer usually isn't that they weren't good enough. It's that they weren't a good fit. The inverse of this is also true. Players of lesser talent can end up getting roster spots these days because they may have a specific skill set that fits what a team needs, and they're willing to play into that role. There used to be a time where you could say with confidence that the most talented basketball players in the world were all in the NBA. In fact, before the boom of foreign talent in an expansion league, you could argue that there was a time where the NBA had more roster spots than there were NBA caliber players. But this is no longer the case. Today, there are more players with NBA talent than there are NBA jobs, and more NBA level players not in the NBA than ever before. And while the talent pool continues to grow seemingly exponentially, the number of roster spots has stayed the same. But you can still find examples today of players who are so talented: DeAndre Ayton, Russell Westbrook, Ben Simmons, and on the upper end, Jordan Poole, D'Angelo Russell, Zach LaVine, that teams are more than happy to pay up and have them on their roster, regardless of if their playstyle or skill set is conducive to the system. And this approach just isn't good enough to win games in today's NBA. And I think as teams continue to get smarter, we'll see less of this and see even more talent leak out of the NBA. Recently on his podcast, Jaylen Brown had a great take on this.
There's so many talented players that are not in the NBA. NBA, I don't think, is the best talent in the world currently right now. They're taking like the utility guy draft approach, where they just drafting guys that they know are not going to be stars, but will be great role players to develop. So the actually most talented players, it's a lot of talented guys that's not in the NBA right now.
I agree with that.
The game has changed. I think in the 90s and the 2000s, the best players was in the league. Nowadays, in the 2020s, that is not the case.
That's kind of crazy to think about, because going back earlier, what I watched with Gilbert Arenas, he said, and even Jimmy, he said it earlier in the video. He said there were more NBA spots than there was there's more NBA spots than actually good NBA players, if that makes sense. And it's like, it's kind of crazy to think about, because now there's too many players to get that spot in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of crazy, man.
That's
crazy.
players within the league. Nowadays,
Times have changed.
That is not the case.
Times have changed.
Talent will always be the great filter of the NBA. It decides who gets a chance and who doesn't. But fit and cohesion are more important now than ever before. So I don't think the NBA is too talented. Teams have just shifted their priorities, and talent alone is no longer enough to make it in the league. But I can appreciate this take, and let me know what you think. Share your hot
Curry,
takes in
man.
the comments below. And as
Dylan
always,
Brooks already
the hotter,
talking his
the
shit.
better.
Hey, man, this is a good ass video. Jimmy High Roller, it's been your boy Boofy. We out, motherfuckers. You already know the motherfucking vibes.